Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 44th episode of Let's Talk Inclusion. Yes, it's a long awaited episode. My name is Manobina Chakraborty. I'm delighted to welcome my friend and one of the closest collaborators, Miss Caroline Hill from the UK, to today's episode. Hi, Caroline. Welcome to Let's Talk Inclusion.
So
One more
lovely to
time.
be back. So lovely to be back, Marabina. I look forward to speaking with you today and all your listeners.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Caroline. Caroline Hill is an education consultant based in Exeter, Devon, in England. She is an experienced school leader with a demonstrated history of working in the education management industry. She is skilled in continuous professional development, CPD, teacher training, interventions, interpersonal skills, and mentoring. Caroline has been working with children and young people and creating, implementing, and delivering quality education and therapeutic programs for over 2 decades now. And what I like the most is creating hope, building resilience, and belonging are the three key points of her teaching and consultancy. Caroline, would you like to add something to it, whatever I said about you?
I think you've been very generous. I'm just a little person who is passionate about inclusion and about finding new ways to include everybody in learning in their own way. So the more we can do that, the more we understand our young people, the better the world is going to be for the future.
Yeah, very true, Caroline. Uh, when we at I for Inclusion chose this topic, neurodiversity and aggression, we had only one name in mind to talk about it, and it was you, Caroline. Uh, as we all know, that neurodiversity encompasses quite a few neurodevelopmental conditions such as autism, dyslexia, and other specific learning differences, and of course, ADHD.
Mm.
What might be the connection between neurodiversity and aggression, Caroline?
From what I've experienced and what I've researched, I would say a lot of it is fear, environment, and not understanding the world around them. And because of that, they only have a certain way to be able to express themselves. And it tends to work. The more aggressive they are, the more angry they are, the more likely they are to get the attention that they're looking for. So for me, especially post lockdown and post COVID, what we're seeing are a lot of children who are school refusing, who don't want to learn, who are digging their little heels in and saying, no, I'm not going to do it anymore. So it's about actually, for me, getting underneath that and saying, what is the reason behind the aggression that we are now seeing?
Yeah, aggressive behavior such as hitting, biting,
Kicking.
scratching, or pulling, kicking another person is relatively common in children on the autistic spectrum. A study of children and teenagers with autism found that 68% had been aggressive to a caregiver,
Mm.
and 49% had been aggressive to someone else at some point. Uh, More than half of the youth studied were currently having mild to severe aggressive behavior. Let me just give the link here for our viewers to go through this paper, which I'm talking about now. Uh, yes, here is the link. If my viewers want, you can just go to this link and have this study. It's a very well studied paper, well researched paper. Yes. So, Caroline, what are your experiences post COVID in your schools and consultancy?
So for me, a lot of it is I can't and I don't want to. And I don't have to, and you can't make me. So it's all of these things, self-harming, so banging of the head, hitting things, trying to cause a reaction is some of the things that I've been coming across. And for me, it's about what's dysregulation and what's a tantrum. And because of COVID and lockdown, a lot of these things are interwoven. And so unpicking the tantrum and seeing which is what is a real big key to enabling our young people to open up again as their little flower. So at the moment they're closed and they don't want to go anywhere and they don't want to do anything and it's all safe. But we want them to bloom. And we need to find out whether it's dysregulation or whether it's a tantrum first and foremost before we come to any action that we might put into place. For our autistic young people, anything visual, let them have their moment, whether it's a weighted blanket, whether it's quiet time. If they're ADHD, let them run. If you've got a safe place for them to run, but give them clear instructions. I can see, so the language that we're using is really important. I can see that something's not right. This isn't the young person I normally see. Your eyes aren't sparkling and you're not smiling at me. So what do I need to do? We need to unpick this. So if you need to, run, go and run until you're so exhausted, you're tired, you can have 5 minutes rest and then we'll talk. And each time using the young person as part of the process. As adults, and I'm as guilty as anybody else in this, especially as a teacher, we have things we expect the children to do. They don't want to. And so we become agitated, we become tense, we become frustrated, our voice rises, we get impatient, and then all of a sudden we're shouting louder than the young people are shouting because we don't think it should be a problem. But no child gets up in the morning and says, I wonder how I'm going to upset my teacher today. Not one, because young people are generally wanting to learn, are keen to learn, who want to fit in, who want to be part and included in everything that everybody else is doing. So for me, first and foremost, it's what is the reason behind this behavior? And as adults, that's probably our biggest challenge.
Yeah. And is there any medication or maybe therapeutic intervention that might be of help?
So it will depend on each individual. Manobina is used quite a lot in the UK for ADHD and also for autism and PDA. And it's a calming medication, but again, it has to be sought medical advice from the specialists because, again, height, size of child and their own background and history must be considered because drugs are drugs at the end of the day. If we can avoid drugs by putting in different interventions before we get to that point, then for me, that's the way forward.
Yeah, yeah. And experts say that ADHD often co-occurs with mental health issues like anxiety and depression. It can also co-occur with the oppositional defiant disorder, ODD. These
Yes.
conditions can cause or add to anger and aggression, I think. So, don't you think it's important to diagnose and treat these conditions also, apart from ADHD?
100%, because we need to know what the root cause is. Again, it all comes back to the root cause. ADHD is a lot of the time they're really spontaneous and they don't even think about things, whereas neurotypical people would think, if I put my hand in the fire, that's really going to hurt, and I really should avoid that.
Yeah.
Whereas some ADHD young people will just see the flames and go, oh, and in go their hands. So again, it's they don't wish to do that. They don't want to harm themselves, but they
Mhm.
don't have the processing and working out of neurotypical people that put your fingers in there, it's going to burn and it's going to hurt, or you're going to get into trouble. It's that spontaneity that normally would start things escalating because they've done something that neurotypical teachers would go, that's not appropriate. I don't like that. Sit down and do as you're told. Well, they're not going to, however much you ask them and however nice you are about it. It's a case of, I can see you're really struggling and you need some time now before we fall out. So what can we do is the next thing. What can we do to nip it in the bud before the aggression starts? So I don't know if you've heard of the 5-point scale. Have you heard of the 5-point scale?
Mhm. I have, I have. If you could
Yes.
just explain it once again for our viewers.
Okay, so the 5-point scale is a very simplistic way of showing young people where they are emotionally. So if they're at 1, for example, it's about when you're happy, when you're content, when life is going really well, that's a 1. So tell me, show me what that looks like. And a lot of young people will go, I'm in my room, I'm on my bed, I've got my headphones on, and the lights are off, and I don't have to talk to anybody. A lot of autistic children would say something along those lines. At 2 is they're okay. They're not brilliant, but they're okay, and they're managing themselves really well. And that might look like they're a little bit more agitated, but it's okay. They're a little bit more flighty. They do go and do something and then they'll change it and do something else, but they're managing it and they're still talking to people really coercively and understanding each other with what is being said. When you get to a 3, this is, oh my goodness, something needs to change, because you can see that things are going to escalate very quickly, sometimes in a split second, because they are now showing those behaviors and beginning to get more aggressive, either verbally, kicking things around, screaming, shouting, banging doors. That's a good one because they use lots of energy and it makes a lovely big sound. So whoa, that's a good one. So when you start seeing these things happening, that's when we need to say, right, we need to get you back to a 2 or even a 1. 2 is okay. Normally in school, you'll never get to a 1 because a lot of the time young people don't like the environment. It's too busy. It's too noisy. There's too many demands on them. There's too much going on. So I say to my young people, if we can keep you at 2, it's all good. But once you get to 3, we need to rethink. By 4, you are now beginning to see a very angry face or tears, or they stopped listening, but they're still in the room and they're still beginning to be a little bit tense. And you know that at 4 and 5, there is no point in trying to intervene at that stage. At 4 or 5, it is too late. Their mind is anywhere but focused on you and what you want of them. So this is where teachers are going to have to start to manage the situation and the environment, because 4 and 5 can sometimes, especially with very volatile young people, go from 4 to 5 when they are completely out of control. They've got a big tantrum going on, spitting, kicking, hissing. Hissing's more on the autistic spectrum. They do a lot of hissing because they're not sure what to say. And so, again, they need time. And as teachers, we have to take a deep breath and show calm, and very calmly say, I can see you're struggling. What can I do? So you're not pointing at them. What can I do to help you see the world slightly differently now? Sometimes you may have to manage them and gently hold the shoulder and direct and guide them into a sensory room, or you have a blanket nearby, a weighted blanket that again find grounding them and holding them and giving them that darkness, or that I don't have to deal with the environment, and give them a good 5-10 minutes. I normally have a little stopwatch and I turn it, and depending on if it was a mammoth outburst or whether it was bubbling, I'll either do 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And I say, I will leave you completely alone unless you come and talk to me until that alarm goes off. And so this is your quiet time. This is your mind break. This is your regulation. And then I'll come back and then we'll try and have that conversation. But I really would emphasize, don't try and negotiate or ask why they're behaving in this way while they are still heightened. It's really not a positive experience for anybody.
I have a very lovable boy in my school, 12-year-old, and a tragic incident took place in his life last year. He lost his father, and after coming back to school this year, he gets aggressive many a time, and once the child hits a person, maybe an adult, the next moment he repents, he cries, he bites himself, he slaps himself, and my heart really goes. My heart, what should I say? But what I do, I try to give him some consequence, some clearly stated consequence. The other day, the boy kicked me, and I said, and after that, he started repenting. He started crying that, sorry, I kicked you. And I said, very calmly, I said, see, son, I know you didn't mean to hurt me, but when you kick, it hurts. So maybe next time you will lose your swimming activity for a day, because he's very fond of swimming. So this is a kind of consequence I try to give. I have nothing in my mind for the boy. I always want to help him. But the thing is that sometimes some positive as well as negative consequence, I think it's needed. So if he behaves well, I tell him, you have done well today, and tomorrow, one more hour of swimming activity, maybe, or maybe computer time, whatever he likes. So, some positive consequences, I tell them beforehand. What is your opinion about it, Caroline?
Um, I would say I've done very similar over the years.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I have learnt is when you give, say, for example, if you were giving stars or rewards in that way,
Mm-hmm.
if they've earned those rewards to that point, never take them away, because it's almost a case of, even when I'm good, it
Of
gets
course.
taken away.
Mm-hmm.
However, I completely agree with you that a consequence needs to be in place once they've come down from that state of anxiety and
Mm-hmm.
out of control, where they will have that conversation with you, and 9 times out of 10 will absolutely 100% go with the consequence, because they didn't mean to do it in the first place, although it did happen. So again, it's
Mm-hmm.
timing for me. Yes, 100%, I do believe that a consequence, when it causes pain or injury to another human being,
Mm-hmm.
needs to be addressed quite quickly. But with ADHD, I would also say that don't wait for an event that's happening 3 days' time, because they will forget. And as
Yeah.
far as they were concerned, it was done and dusted here and now. So the
Mm-hmm.
consequence for ADHD young people needs to be next to immediate.
Exactly, exactly. I
So
completely
that,
agree with you.
yeah,
Mm,
so that when they've come down from that difficult place, they've understood, they've done their consequence, and then you can move on. Fresh start, clean slate. Never let the
mhm,
sun go down on an argument if you can possibly help it.
mhm. Thank you very much for your inputs. Thank you. And see, when we're talking about neurodiversity, dyslexia and other specific learning differences are also part of neurodiversity. So, dyslexic students often have many struggles, and it is not unusual for them to exhibit aggressive behavior sometimes, although they are less aggressive than the students with autism or ADHD. I think it is important to understand the causes of this behavior, which might include low self esteem, communication challenges, low self efficacy, or victimization. Children with specific learning differences are often bullied in schools. What do you think,
Yeah.
Caroline?
And again, it's that understanding of diversity. Now, when
Yeah.
you have dyslexia, and it's quite it's another spectrum. So you could have dyslexic tendencies and manage yourself very, very well. And okay, you might have to work a little bit harder, but you manage beautifully. Or you could be on the other end of the spectrum of dyslexia, where words don't come to your mouth quick enough, your eyes get tired when you're reading, you can't even get the words written on the piece of paper because the letters come out back to front to what you want them to. So
Mhm.
again, it's understanding that spectrum and speaking to the young person. I'll give you an example. In one of my previous schools, I had a lovely year 10 going into year 11, and she was really worried about her GCSEs in English. And she was like, she used to come to school, and then she would go home and sleep for 3 hours straight and then get up and start her homework because her visual stress was so intense. She exhausted herself during the day. So we actually encouraged her to go to an optician's and have the special tests done for the different colours that might help. But also her writing in pink pen, she could write in pink pen and it wouldn't give her the headaches as badly. So we actually wrote to the JCQ, who is our exam board or one of the exam boards, and said, would you be willing to make reasonable adjustments and allow this young person to write in pink pen for her exam? And they said yes. And just by saying yes, built her up, gave her the confidence to give it a go. She didn't get her A stars and all the rest of it, but she passed and she felt good. And that was from a little thing that lots of people would go, oh, don't be so silly. That's absolutely silly. That doesn't happen. That's just giving in to these young people's little whims. Actually, no, it wasn't. And we had evidence over time to show that the pink pen, she could write reams in pink pen. She could write one paragraph in a black. So again, it's understanding the condition that you are faced with and being open-minded to the difficulties that each young person is presenting with, because we try and squeeze them all into one box.
Your video is frozen, Caroline. I think there must be a problem. And viewers, if you would like to ask some questions to Caroline Hill, please write in the comment section. I'm sure Caroline will come back soon and address your questions. Yeah, there is a problem. Let me just talk to her, try to connect to her. It's really difficult to have. Uh, Yes, Caroline, you have to, I think, log in once again. Yeah. Yeah, yes, please. So it's really difficult because two different continents, we are connecting from two different continents. So sometimes it may happen. Thank you, viewers, for your patience. Caroline is coming back. And if you could just use this time to post your questions in the comment section, we will definitely answer your questions. Caroline, are you there? Yeah, okay. Thank you for your patience, viewers. It's just, I think, just a matter of a few moments. Caroline will be right back. And we are waiting for your questions in the comment sections. Yes, Caroline is here.
Hello, I'm back again.
Yes, but your video is off.
Oh, Manobina, now you're not working. Oh, where are you?
Caroline, I can't see you. Yeah, you're back again.
So sorry, I don't quite know what happened then.
So you were talking about something, Caroline.
What was I talking about? Were we talking about, so we were talking about the young lady who had the visual stress and the JCQ who made those reasonable adjustments. But again, it's knowing that individual, knowing the condition that the young people are showing you, but also listening, active listening to these young people. They have a voice and they know what's not quite right. And the trouble is, within teaching these days, it's so hard to get that quality time to one with these young people to actually hear what they're trying to tell us. But if you're lucky enough to have additional help in your classroom, perhaps give them an extra 5 minutes just to see what is it you find really difficult. Writing is a really difficult thing for people with dyslexia. And we expect them to write reams and reams and reams. And we're like, well, in today's society, with the technology we have, why can't they speak it?
Exactly.
Why can't there be somebody who's listening and making those assessments without them having to write it? Little things like these is a small thing for some, but makes the world of difference to the individual.
Yeah. But does your qualification system in place support this?
So, if you were looking in an ideal world where you're trying to enable that to happen, I think there are lots of people with the qualifications that I have who give so much of themselves every day to help other teachers understand what's happening and what's going on. But you can't expect every teacher to have the 15 years experience that I do, because you all have our specialisms. So it's almost saying, where's our priority? Do we need people like Caroline, like Manobina, to come into our schools and help us and say what can be changed? Or do we say we'll muddle on with what we already know? And that's a leadership strategic plan. That's not something somebody can just say, oh, let's do today. Because yes, cost is involved, but we're talking about the future of our young people. We're talking about our future leaders in the world that we live in. Are they not worth investing in? But again, other people have different priorities. My priorities are inclusion and well-being and feeling included in all areas. Other people's priorities are different again. So it's finding the balance. And in England, we haven't found it yet.
Okay. So there are some questions in the comment sections. Can we take one by one? Yes, Mrs. Vijaya Prakash, is becoming stubborn or non-cooperative also a sign of aggression?
Yes, but again, it could be control. If you think about anxiety and you think about worry, how can they control that environment? By refusal. If I say no, I am now in control. And if I'm unsure and I don't quite know what I'm doing, it is easier to go no than it is to say, I'm a little bit stuck. So again, it's modeling first. I'll do it. We'll do it together. Now you do it. And then over time, you would have further evidence to say, now you're being a little bit grumpy. Now you're being stubborn and you're choosing not to work rather than there's a barrier to learning.
Yeah. One more question.
I think it can be. And again, I go back to what I said earlier with each individual is different. Some people and some young people respond really well to medication and it gives them just what they need to be able to function and to feel able to move forward. Other young people I've seen who have taken certain medications and it scares me, it worries me, and they are too young, and I don't like it because they look drugged. They look as if they've been over medicated, and that's that again is the fine line. So if done properly and you follow with a medical person and follow through, there's some amazing outcomes that you can get. In the same way, there's some really nasty ones. It's all about balance. Do you medicate? Do you not medicate? If you look at it from, I'm going to talk about ADHD again because that's come up quite a lot. But if you look at it as a farmer or a stay-at-home person, a farmer would go out, he's active all day, he works the land, he gets the crops in, he brings the money home for the family. Hunter-gatherer, we would have called it hundreds of years ago. Get the meat in for the family, feed the family, be there for the family. That's your ADHD young person today. Then you have those who, they'll sit at home nice and quietly and they'll tend to things, they'll bake, they'll cook, they'll clean, they'll sweep, they'll read. Both are absolutely important to function in the world today. We need both. So therefore, if you've got a hunter-gatherer, modify, change, make adjustments to their learning. To the ones who sit quietly, read a book and are studious, and you sit there and think, oh, I'd like 30 of those in my class, please, for the next 30 years. But would you at the end of the day? Because we all bring something really special, but it might mean a little tweak to what we expect or what we think they should be doing.
Very true. There's one more question from Mr. Archana Garg again. Please suggest few tips to control self-injurious behavior during aggression. This is also very, very common and mostly in ADHD.
Yeah, and it's an ongoing one because again, that self-injury is about grounding themselves and finding themselves again. So it's, I need to feel something. So do you have boxing pads? Where they can smash into a boxing pad, not yourself, please don't put yourself in the way, but pads to hit, to bring some of that energy out and that aggression out? Have you got weighted balls like basketballs, but they come in different weights. I don't know if you can get them in India, but again, it's that weightedness that brings them to hold, that they can throw. Have you got nets that they can throw things into, that they can push that aggression out of themselves and into something else, because they do it to themselves because they need to feel they need to let things go. Sometimes young people self-harm, some and cut themselves, and because they just want to get whatever in them out, because they feel it's bad and they need to let it out. And so if we can help them find another way of letting it out, then you'll never stop it, but they'll have another choice of which direction that they could try something different. And again, if you've got older young people, ask them, when you get to that point when you're smashing your fist against the wall and you've broken your knuckles, why? What is it? Why did you need to do it? And a lot of my young people who I've had this experience with say, no one is listening to me. And I'm like, that was a big wake-up call for me, because I little Miss Fix It, I'm afraid. I go around going, you know, perhaps you need to try this, try this, try this. And this young person was trying to say to me, I don't need any of that. Stop talking to me. And I wasn't actively listening to what he needed. So again, it's involving these young people when they are at a 1, going back to our 5-point scale, to have that conversation and give them choice. So that I don't know if you can see here, there's my little 5-point scale.
Mm-hmm.
So you can try doing these different things, but sometimes talking will frustrate them as much as anything else. So if you know talking is going to irritate them, show them a picture, show them a card, choose this, or would you like to do this, but just show the pictures rather than talk, because sometimes the young people get massively overwhelmed just by voices, especially my irritating voice apparently.
No, it actually happens, and sometimes the society generally doesn't cooperate in a whole. If I can talk about India in this case. I have a student. That particular boy is very sociable. Hello, how are you? Everyone he asks this question, and most of the people actually avoid him.
Oh.
And then the boy gets irritated, a 12-year-old poor boy. And out of that irritation, if he hits someone, are we supposed to blame him? I don't think so. But this is the society we live in. And even if those who are working with the child, or maybe with typical children, so-called typical children, they also fail to understand this agony of a child. If someone doesn't answer to him, what might he feel? People generally fail to understand this, and that sometimes cause aggression. So these are the things we are dealing with every day, and trying to make small changes in our own little way, but we really have a long way to go.
And honestly, it's across the world. This isn't just India that has a problem. It's not just the UK that has a problem. It is worldwide, with
Yeah,
understanding, and we're all too busy
exactly.
expecting things to happen, and we sometimes need to just take that step back. But
Yeah.
also, it's teaching the young people who you see hurting every day because people aren't talking to them about
Mhm.
human nature, because human nature sometimes is unkind.
Yeah,
And so,
most of the time I really feel so, because we have become very self-centered. If I
mm,
can't say selfish, it is self-centered, and we are too preoccupied with ourselves, and we really don't bother uh,
mm,
about others. So, and some young people, they fail to understand that, and sometimes they try to harm themselves, and sometimes they try to hit others. But we really, as a society, we are big failures. We fail to understand the need of our children. That's what I feel.
and I completely agree with that. And there's no there's no easy fix, as you and
Mhm.
I both know. However, it's about caring enough to want to know more, caring
Mhm.
enough and being willing to say, I don't understand this neurodiversity. It's not something I've ever come across before, but it's actually, there are so many people who now write about neurodiversity and
Mhm.
about how some people think completely differently. That's okay. It's about acceptance. It's about saying, I'm not quite sure, but I accept you as who you are. Teach me. Teach me what makes you happy. Because sitting in my bedroom, staring at the ceiling and watching pretty lights go round is not my idea of fun. But it might be your idea of fun. It might be your special place. You know, I'd like to be out drinking coffee, having fun with my friends, drinking a cup of tea, you know, the odd bar of chocolate here and there. Whereas a lot of our young people aren't interested in other people because they're struggling to understand the world by
Ex-
themselves.
Exactly. One more question. Can you see this?
Yes, absolutely, yes. Yoga or anything that quietens the mind is a skill and a discipline that you can help young people self regulate. So, again, calming music in the background will either have one or two effects. It will calm or it will irritate. And young people are very quick to tell you which one it is. But yoga, because of the nature of yoga, is about relaxing all the bones and the tensions in the body, but actually feeling it through the floor. So they're grounding themselves. So some neurotypical people will hold on to a wall or put their elbows on the side of something. They don't know where they sit in the world, so they need something to hold on to. So by having that meditation through the yoga and that stretch and feeling every muscle in their body is a really, introduce it as your 5-10 minute mind break in your lessons. Oh my goodness, what a great experiment that would be.
Your experience and the wisdom you gain from that is evident in what you share. Thank you, Caroline.
My
And
pleasure.
I would like to say the same thing, Caroline. It's thank you very much for your experience and whatever you shared with us. And it's nearly time to conclude our session today. Would you like to give some concluding advice to parents and teachers who might be listening to us today?
I would say talk to your young person. Find one thing that you can do to support them in this coming month. Just one. Write it down together, make a picture together, put it up on your fridge, on your wall, next to their bed. Just one thing that you're both going to try and do to improve understanding each other. I would say look at and try and observe your child as anxiety raises. When you begin to notice those small little changes, it's easier to intervene sooner than waiting for the big fit of aggression and that verbal aggression that a lot of us are looking at and seeing as we observe, be really observant, make notes and speak to the young person. That would be my top tip for the next month.
Thank you very much, Caroline. It's always an enriching experience talking to you. Thanks very much for all your support to all of us in I4 Inclusion.
Never give up, people. You're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. And to our viewers, next week we will continue with this discussion with two other experts, Dr. Siddharth Shah, a renowned pediatric neurologist with huge experience in India and the UK, and Dr. Marta Hawkins, an educational leader specializing in diversity, equality, and inclusion based in the UK. So see you next week. Till then, take care and bye-bye. Thank you very much, Caroline. Thanks for all your support. Thank you. Bye for now.
Take care.
Thank you.